According to this narrative, this whole historical conflict, it's just one phase. It's the ashes part of a much, much bigger cycle. And that brings us right back to the phoenix, whose myth of dying and being reborn isn't presented as just a story, but as a recurring, predictable historical pattern.
You know, the myth says the phoenix lives for 500 to 1500 years before it's reborn. The sources we're looking at argue that this number isn't an accident. They propose that this is the actual historical cycle for the rise, the reign, and the fall of great melanated empires throughout all of history, which suggests that we right now are living at the end of one of those cycles and at the very beginning of a new one.
So how did these powerful empires fall? Was it just outside forces? Well, the sources say no, not entirely. They point to the logo of that very same Order of the Dragon. It was a dragon devouring its own tail, the Ouroboros. And this is interpreted as a symbolic recognition that these civilizations ultimately fell from within, that they turned to war and self-destruction.
And this really gets to the heart of why they fell. It wasn't about losing a war. It was a spiritual decay. The wise dragon of clear sight simply lost its way. It began to hoard its knowledge, to use its power for selfish gain instead of to uplift the world. And in doing that, it became the blind dragon, plunging itself into the ashes and getting ready for the next phase of the cycle.
And that brings us all the way to today. Because the entire narrative we've been exploring, it doesn't just end in the past. It ends with this call to action. It frames the present as that pivotal moment for the prophesied rebirth, a time to reawaken that dormant potential and reclaim a lost legacy.
So in the end, what we've been looking at isn't just some alternate history. It's a challenge. It lays out this cyclical pattern of rise and fall, arguing that after a long period of dormancy, the ashes, a period of rebirth, the fire, is inevitable. And so, the final question this entire narrative leaves us with is this: are we living in that fire now?